We heard from my mother-in-law this morning, and thankfully she survived the night. They're safe for now, but I use that term very loosely in terms of how safe they are. They told me, my mother-in-law told me, that they could hear rockets falling all around their house. They could hear jets overhead. The kids were screaming throughout the course of the night. My mum and mother-in-law in particular, terrified, as is my father-in-law. And I think the worst situation is, the worst thing is they feel utterly trapped. So they're being told to leave because they're told of the destruction that's unfolding in Gaza, but they have nowhere to go. As of an hour ago, the Rafah border had been bombed and closed, and even if it was open, there's no guarantee of safe passage between travelling to where they live and to the Rafah border. That, as I say, even now is currently closed, so a pretty horrendous situation.
What have they told you just about what life and conditions are like there now? Have they been able to get out and see just what the streets are like at this point?
Nobody's leaving the house, as you'd imagine. They have little in the way of supplies and food. I think they've got about one day left of supplies, including for the children. My brother-in-law has 4 young children, one of his children only 2 months old. They're also saying, of course, that the electricity has been cut and is very intermittent, so they'll get maybe 3 or 4 hours of electricity a day. And of course, they just do not know what is going to happen next. And they're watching, when the electricity is on, they're trying to get updates on the news, and they're hearing what you and I are hearing, that the Israeli government are saying that they're going to take pretty significant action. And this is only the beginning of what Gaza can see. So it's a pretty horrendous situation all around.
And your family has some knowledge of the medical situation there. Do you maybe just want to say a bit about that? How serious is that becoming from what you've heard?
Yeah, my brother-in-law, a doctor in local hospital, and he's done a 24-hour shift, and he's saying medical supplies are at the lowest he's ever seen, to the point where they're having to use bits of their own clothes to try to bandage and tourniquet wounds where they can. So he said he's never seen medical supplies as low as they are. And as the news has reported, of course, innocent men, women and children are the ones who are suffering as a result.
What can the UK government do here? What kind of influence can it exert? What would you want to see?
I've spoken to the Foreign Office this afternoon and written to the Foreign Office, asking them to use their very unique position as an ally of the government of Israel to say that the government of Israel and all parties must open up a humanitarian corridor to serve 2 purposes. One, to get those supplies in, food supplies and medical supplies into Gaza, but also to open up a humanitarian corridor to allow innocent men, women and children of Gaza to leave, because of course we know the destruction that is unfolding there. Now that humanitarian corridor, that safe passage, can only open if there's a ceasefire, and I would ask the UK government to urge all the parties involved to agree to that ceasefire for 24, 48 hours, however long it can be, in order to allow supplies to come in and for the innocent people of Gaza to leave.
What advice might you have for any other families in Scotland who might be in a similar situation to you? They might have people in Israel and Palestine who are caught up in this, and just what advice would you have for how they can get through it?
My thoughts go to the family of Bernard Cowan, who tragically lost his life in Israel, and the Jewish community will be rocked by that death, and my condolences and sympathies to them. There'll be many families across Scotland, either have family in Gaza, many of them will have family in Israel, who are deeply worried about their own personal circumstances. So I know what that feels like, given what my in-laws are going through at the moment. I promise you the Scottish Government will do everything we can to liaise with the Foreign Office to try to get people to safety as quickly as we can. But let's all of us agree that for all the atrocities that we have seen, and those actions by Hamas are to be condemned unequivocally, that innocent people should not pay the price. And that collective punishment is simply not acceptable or justifiable.